The stock market continues to get hit. Is it a stock market crash? Is this a dip? Is it time to load the boat? We're going to go into everything in between. But last night you broke, and this morning you broke a very significant key level on the market. And as of right now, it is still holding strong and it's pressuring you for more downside, more selling overall. So right now, as we're looking at this, I think you are in a very sticky situation and things could be getting ugly. It's also important to understand what's happening fundamentally. Now, a few things happened yesterday. Now, the first thing we're talking about is what's happening with Nvidia, because Nvidia is getting slammed, if you don't know, here on the day, trying to bounce back, but you lost 184 and you're dropping down. And if you don't understand why Nvidia is so key, while we're talking about this market dipping, is because semis have been the strongest thing in the entire market that's really holding us up. If you look at how we've moved from 2022 to right now, semiconductors have been probably the best performing sector of the entire market, if not technology as a whole, which has semiconductor names in there as well. So important to understand that. So if you don't know, basically Trump, Xi, we're talking all about, this trade war was happening there. Where are they going to move from this? And one of the talking points was Nvidia. And it was seeming like Nvidia was going to kind of come back into play. And if you don't understand why this is so key as well, is because Nvidia announced basically last week that, hey, until the end of 2026, we're going to produce $500 billion in total contracts of revenue. That's already signed for. Everyone's already, agreed to pay all of that, right? That's excluding China. So that's why this is so important. So if Nvidia gets their foot back into China, that number is going to go up dramatically. Well, unfortunately, it did not. Trump said, guess what, boys and girls? We are preventing Nvidia from exporting its most advanced chips to China, may significantly undermine the tech giant shares. Womp, womp. Now, it's also important to understand, this is not just their Blackwell chip. So if you understand, Blackwell chip was never on that's like their Nvidia's big money maker. That was never like in the works of going to China. I want to make that really clear. It was their H100 chip, I believe is what the name is. Anyways, they were already selling to China, but now they are not doing that any longer. So again, that's just why, right? So there was some speculation, but I will say fundamentally, this doesn't negatively impact Nvidia at all right now, because again, everything that they've said is still true and working out. Now, before we get into the juice, before we go into the charts, I want to say a few things. Number one, follow on Twitter so you get all the updates. Again, we post all these updates for you, all the charts, all the best stocks. One of the stocks I mentioned yesterday was Oklo on the Head and Shoulders, which I also traded last night with Discord. And this was a clear cut, just dropped down to like $98, $97. So congratulations, you played that. But I post it on, obviously, here on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Follow us, do what you gotta do, right? The links are down below. Now, the other thing too is understanding what and how we trade. If you want to see what we're trading, how we're trading every single day, the Discord link is down below for you. Again, you can check it out every morning. I'm gonna just walk you through how a day kind of works with us, just so you know. So basically what goes on, I wake up bright and early, I post the futures rundown. So again, you need to have an understanding of what's happening with the market. Go to futures, I go to our watch list. This is for Jordan. He goes over his favorite stocks, futures as well. We go to trade ideas. This was last night's trade, Oklo. These all almost went up like 50% minimum. And then our technicals as well, which are more of our scalps. The only trade we had on the day was one scalp on the day, and that was Nvidia, the rejection from 184, as you can see right there, went all the way down to 179. Yay. But anyways, if that's there for you, do what you got to do. The Discord link, profits are there for you as well. Let's get back to work. Now, going into the charts, what are the big levels? What are we watching right now? Let me clean this up so you can see. Now, this is where you're at, okay? Now, the biggest level we've been talking about a lot this week, we've been talking about two. And we talked about one of them a lot, okay? So number one is this 25.4 on NASDAQ. We're starting with futures. I'll go into SPY in a second, okay? So please, I know you're going to ask me, go to SPY. Okay, so when we look at what we're doing here, this is where you're at, 25.4. Now, obviously, yesterday we started flipping this level, as you can see right here, around 2 o'clock. You go to like the 1 hour, you can really see what's taking place there. And I'll even bring the drawings up now. This is the level right there. You break below at 9 a.m. yesterday, you break back into it, reject around power hour, and that's where we end. Well, overnight, you break below 25.18, and you end up dropping down to 25.02, and then ultimately losing the 50-day moving average to start your session here this morning, which was less than ideal. Not a good start to the day. And again, why is this so key? Why is this so important? Well, if you zoom out to the daily, what has been your massive support for the NASDAQ? And as you can see right now, it's still playing out live in real time here, right? And again, it's right now, it's literally 12:30. We still have like 2 hours and 30 minutes left in the day, right? I don't know why that math was so hard to do. But again, you can see going all the way back to basically when we got back up with the 200 daily moving average, which is one of your biggest catalysts for being bullish overall. The 50-day moving average, you know, we've seen multiple, like 7-ish touches of this level since August alone, bouncing. And that's where we're at right now, trying and attempting to bounce there once again. So this is what you're looking at. Can you hold? Can you, just turn this into a support? Well, ES here as well is still below your 50-day and it's lost it, which this isn't a surprise yet. Again, where things would get really bad is if you get a daily hold under and then a preceding day rejecting down as well. That would almost be confirmation of a breakdown and losing this as a support. Now, anything can happen. Trump can say whatever he wants. He could end a shutdown tomorrow. Who knows, right? I want to clarify that. But as of right now, that's the concern and that's where you're at. And I do think this puts a lot of caution into the market right now. Now, again, let's unpack a few things of where, number one, you get bullish again, and obviously where you're bearish. Now, you understand where you're bearish. Okay, we've made that very clear. But where you would get bullish for me is if the NASDAQ reclaims your previous high going back into October 10th was when Trump announced the tariffs in the first place on China, right there. If you get back above 25,400 on the NASDAQ, I'd remain bullish and I would probably start slamming calls, expecting a push back towards all-time highs. Until then, I'll be very, very cautious. And you're asking, well, Tyler, what do you think about buying shares? What do you think about buying stock? Do you think that's a buying opportunity? And my answer is simply going to be, yes, I do think buying stock is always good on dips. And I want to make something very, very, very clear. There's a difference between buying stocks and buying options. Options, obviously, there's a time frame, there's an expectation, you have a time limit. When you're buying stocks, you are investing, you own it. You don't have a time limit necessarily. Very important to understand that. And if you have a time limit on what you're investing, you probably shouldn't be investing that money. Think about it, okay? So very important to understand that. So when I'm looking at this, your mentality, and people always ask, well, Tyler, when do I buy stock? When do I do this? When do I do that? I'm gonna give you a quick tip. Real quick, okay? When you're looking to buy stock, this is what I think the logical thing for 99.9% of people to do. Do your own research, talk to a financial advisor as always, and see what they will tell you. But what I do personally, if what I'm looking at is I have like a little bit of a pie chart, right? And M1 Finance does this really, really good. Jordan always recommends them. If you'll need a referral or something like that, post down below. Jordan will give you a link, right? I don't have one. So, and Public also does it, which I'm working with right now, which will do more information and videos on that. But what you do is you make a ETF of all the stocks you like, and you just throw money in there every specific week, day, whatever your normal investing period is. So you're just looking at it. But especially when you're dipping like this is one of the better times to be buying. And I'm going to go over 2 stocks that I really like during this dip as well, that I think are pretty decent opportunities as of right exactly now. So we'll go more into that in a second. But when it comes to buying stock, people are saying, well, should I buy now? You're never going to time the bottom. I just want to make that abundantly clear. You're never going to time the top. It's just not going to happen. So if you like stocks, you buy them. But if you're buying with the mentality, if I need to make money next month, then you're in the wrong game. I'm just sorry to tell you. And I would be dishonest if I was going to tell you that, hey, if you buy now, you're never going to go lower. Okay, I don't want to be that guy. So important to understand that. Now that's where we're at fundamentally right on there. Now going into SPY, going into QQQ. Okay, now this is pretty easy as well. So SPY obviously getting back above 673 is where you want to be. Now SPY is also holding your 50-day moving average, and you're back above this level here near 665 as well. Not a major level, but something worth watching. You dip down to 662, you bounce there once again, which was a previous level. Next level is 659. But I don't really love I'm going to tell you right now, I don't love these levels at all. The only level I'm really watching is the 50-day moving average. Below the 50-day, I do think you would start working towards 654, 652, which has been a massive, massive, massive support. And it's actually where you bounced after Trump announced his tariffs and his trade stuff regarding China. So what I'd be watching there, okay? Very important. Now, before we go into any stocks, I do want to say what I'd really be focusing on as far as news, if you're like, well, what's going to give us more downside? Right now, what will cause more downside, in my opinion, is going to be the effects from the government shutdown. And again, I've said it before, anyone that's trying to predict when there's going to be the government shutdown ends, and they're trying to say, oh, this is when I think it's going to end, and Trump's going to do this. Unless Trump literally says something great like, hey, guys, I'm about to end this government shutdown, I'd get ready, or he tweets something like cryptic, I wouldn't listen to just about anybody. Most people are saying things to get clicks, to get views. And again, maybe we use clickbait here occasionally, but inside of the content and the videos, I don't think you've ever seen me lie, mislead, grift to get views or to get you to spend money or give me money. I never wanted to have a bad reputation like that. And that's been like kind of my whole shtick, is to hopefully keep myself pretty clean over the past few months and years. So I think I've done a pretty decent job at it, but beware of people that are telling you this is when it's going to end, this is going to happen. happen, right? Just pay attention to the news because it's important. Like, you know, last night everyone was saying, oh, they're going to end the government shutdown, and they might end it today. Who knows, right? But again, when you're seeing this like get announced from the White House that the FAA is going to order a reduction of flights, they're probably not going to end it until that goes into effect. I'm just who knows, but they're continuing to announce more of this. And I do think with Trump trying to get rid of SNAP benefits, I think that's going to go into effect before the government shutdown ends. Who knows? I could be wrong. But again, what we're looking at there. Now, downside names, bullish names, let's go into it. Now, as far as names, I think that are the biggest opportunities. Number one, AMD. I mentioned this in Discord earlier, actually. And AMD, it's been your same level for a while now. Go to the 1-day chart. And if you go all the way back to March 2024, that's what I'm really watching, your previous all-time high. You can see that you've had a lot of buying opportunities off this so far, I mean, for what it's worth for the time being. And this is where buyers are desperately trying to hold you at 227, basically flat. So if you hold that, I do like this. And I have a midpoint here, roughly 234, 235, and then obviously back into 240. I do like AMD, but I do want to make something very, very clear. If the market dips, the market gets under the 50 SMA and we start crashing, I don't think AMD is going to be the knight in shining armor that prints money while the rest of the market goes down. I want to make that very clear. There's only one stock that's doing that, okay? And I want to make that clear. That's Apple. Apple, for some reason, is an anomaly. Tim Cook is actually over there cooking, worth mentioning, okay? So AMD. The next name is Meta. Meta is very interesting. You came all the way down to our level that we mentioned, the key level of 601, your previous all-time high back here from November 2024, and you broke out of this and you went bananas into 740. That was crazy. Now, the one thing that I'll mention here is, yes, you're down at 601, but this is a nasty looking setup right here on the 50 and the 200 daily moving average. However, you've seen this happen before where you have your death cross, but obviously it's curling back up and the market bounced back up as well with it from the tariffs and stuff. So important to understand that. Again, if the market bounces, it doesn't matter if there's a death cross or if a stock looks really terrible, you're probably going to bounce if the market bounces back up dramatically. So again, you're really at the hands of Donald Trump in this administration. But again, I still believe Meta is one of the weaker names in the market off of some BS, and I think their EPS is going to bounce back perfectly. I talked about it in yesterday's video. So again, what to look at, why I'm looking at it, etc. Also, like CoreWeave down here near $100. I'll tell you that right now. But again, you start to lose $100, $98. I'd probably flee. If you lose $83, $84. Yikes, it's going to get slapped all the way down to 63. So again, what I'd be watching, let me repeat that for anyone in the back, right? This is pretty nice. If you bounce back above 105, probably worth going on longs. If you start breaking below 100, I'd be watching this like a hawk. Below 85, $84, you are looking for $66 to $63 in a hurry. Clip it. Okay. So again, what I'm looking at, what I'm watching there. Not going to go into the cheaper stocks. I'll go into those in another video. But again, what we're looking at right now. Now, as far as overall options out there in the market right now. Okay, biggest name I'd be watching right now is Nvidia. It's anytime you're getting a lot of volatility in the market, you're seeing this type of action, just keep it safe, buddy. Go with Nvidia. That's why this is the only stock I traded here on the day. Nvidia getting below 184 was pretty bad. You rejected down to 179. Awesome. Now you're getting back above it. Okay, it's actually not bad. So when you get back above 184, the last time we saw this, go look back here. Okay, you got back above it, you mounted, and you went into what? New all-time highs of 210. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, and now you're here once again. So the question is can you hold above this? You hold above this, looking for a gap fill in 187, and then ultimately towards a 191, I believe, like right here, and then into 195. Above 195.5, this could start pushing back in all-time highs pretty easily, in my opinion. But 184 is your massive level to watch. How do we react? How do we hold this near the end of the day? Very clear, easy to see there as well. Okay, next up, TSM, another big name out here. Now, TSM is finding some support as of right now. I mentioned this as well in Discord. Shout out to Discord if you're listening to this in voice chat. Again, you break below 286, 285, previous all-time high right there. As you can see, you're breaking down easily back to the 50 SMA. And you're seeing a lot of stocks test the 50 SMA right now. It's kind of been a broad support for the entire market, especially the strong stocks that have carried us here, right? The ones that really matter. And again, you're seeing TSM try to bounce. If we can get back above 286, I do think you have room. You can start pushing back into 292, 291, and then ultimately back to 295, 296. So I'll be watching that as well. TSM has been one of the stronger semiconductors out there and more reliable. Something like AVGO has not been. It's lost to 50-day MA. You lose 344, looking for 332. Pretty weak. BRB could be pretty nasty for the downside. Again, Going into some of the cheaper names that have been kind of our bread and butter, right? When it comes to semiconductors, ARM, Marvel. Okay, so a lot of people were asking about this, and I actually think you're actually getting some crazy like opportunities here. Now, ARM did report earnings pretty recently, worth mentioning. Decent beat on revenue, which is what I'd be paying attention to. Again, decent, okay, kind of flatlining near 1.2 billion. You want to see a rise there for sure. But again, looking down for the 200 SMA, you bounce off that, you're looking good. I think it's just a buying opportunity once again. You've seen a lot of support down there too, 133, 135, but 200 SMA is going to be key there for me. Tesla breaking down once again, really just doing a whole lot of nothing here, if you ask me. Again, back to the 50 SMA, massive support. Your big support is down here at 414. I'd be patient here on Tesla. Maybe you don't test it, but I think it's just worth it at this point. You can't see because my fat ass head. But again, below 414, this is really, really weak. I mean, you got no liquidity, 397, 380. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you got a whole lot of nothing till 360. Tell you right, like 50 points of downside, right? I'd be patient here. That's going to be the buying opportunity. I'd be surprised if you just test the 50 SMA. I'd expect a wick down to 414, 415. That's the buying opportunity. You lose that, I'd be very, very careful. And I don't mean lose like on a 5 minute, maybe like an hour or 2 hour chart, higher time frames to get more confirmation so you don't get scared out of the position. But again, where I'm at, what I'm watching there. Amazon, another big player out here. Now, again, the biggest thing you're going to see me looking at right now as far as finding strength, finding weakness in the market, continuation, buying opportunities, etc. Okay. Previous all-time highs are your best friend. I think they're one of the best supports, and rebuys, break and retest you're ever going to get. So Amazon, we traded this yesterday. If you guys remember in Discord, we talked about this here on the video, but go to technicals. This was like a monster trade from yesterday. Yeah, we literally traded this all the way down. This was nuts. This was like absolutely nuts that we printed this bet. I mean, this much on it. We literally went short way up here at 250. It was crazy. Okay. But anyways, you're breaking down now from your previous high here. You can see previous all-time high right there, and now you're losing it right there. Now you're on your last leg for Amazon. Amazon, for me, people keep saying, is it a buy? What do you do? It is not a buy for me. It is a no buy, no buy, no buy. Now, if you get back above 242.6, 243, I'll probably buy, similar to AMD. But just like AMD, if you lose 227, I'm not going to be at this attending this party. No, sir. If anything, I'll be attending the party to the downside. Okay. I like Amazon more though on the downside here. Okay. So Amazon losing. Now you come back into your previous highs as we talked about here as well. Basically 239. You're bouncing off that. Now what you would like to see, they break a retest and then they push back down. Now when you lose 239, if you do, my God, you are probably coming down to 233, 50 SMA down 227, and then you have 224. This could get ugly. You have a daily gap very far away as well. This is not a good looking chart. This is very bad. I am steering clear, very, very clear. Under 239, hammer it. That's what I'm looking at, baby. Hammer it, not financial advice. You know what I mean? Not financial advice. But again, what we're looking at there. Okay, Netflix, it's still in the range from hell. This is actually one of the easier trades that you can do. I've literally repeated this. I'm not even posting it in Discord anymore. Me and Jordan have literally said it like a billion times. You come into 1103 and you reject. I think Netflix, again, if we look at earnings, this past earnings season, I think Netflix was the worst earnings that reported. And they have a bad fundamental viewpoint of all this woke shit that's kind of getting them canceled or whatever. Netflix is not going to get canceled, but it's just a bad headwind, right? So again, I don't love it. Okay, below 1103, you kind of just trade it back down to 1190 or 1090. It's really simple. Bing, 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 bing. It's like playing Pong. Really, really simple. You could trade this like literally like 20 times. It's kind of crazy. Now this was the real trade off the 200 SMA, which we traded that one. That was also pretty nuts. But again, where you're at, how you're trading, don't overcomplicate it. It's really simple right there in front of you. What I'm looking at, what I'm watching. Again, the biggest thing, I can't put any more emphasis on this, in my opinion, is the government shutdown. It's most important thing you're watching right now. You also hear more about the Fed and what they're doing over there. You're hearing more comments and you're hearing more Fed members talk. It's, in my opinion, seeming like they're going to continue cutting rates. It just seems that way. There's a lot of issues. All of my news that we're getting to, I think people are going to hate me, whatever. I do think Twitter, it depends who you're following. A lot of these people have Bloomberg terminals and they just connect them straight to Twitter and they just post them. So you got to know who to follow. And on our Discord in the news tab, you can see all the news as it comes in. It filters and you can just search specific things if you want to. But again, from the news, you've seen basically the Fed say, number one, it's looking like they want to keep cutting. And then number two, that the job and labor market continues to weaken. And again, you've seen more, if you're watching any sort of news on Twitter or online at all, you're seeing more and more news come out that AI is taking jobs, or companies and studies coming out that they can afford to they can cut jobs, save money, and they really won't see a negative impact because AI can do some of these, easier jobs on the back end. And again, I think this is going to continue hurting the market. I do think longer term, yes, stagflation, which, it's the word no one wants to talk about. I do think that it's going to affect us. I really do. But again, right now, we don't care. Unfortunately, people don't care about longer term stuff. We care more about short term. So that's where my head's at. I'm looking, obviously at the 50-day moving average, the news coming in, the government shutdown, everything in between. If you have any questions, comment down below. Twitter links there as well. Have a good one, traders.